So it's Danny Flexent here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend, former pro, former manager, promoter, trainer, latterly podcast co-host, and human rights activist. I think it's probably fair to say at this point. Spencer, how you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm really good. I'm just in Harwoods, getting my car serviced, my range is getting serviced. So I've got a 2 hour wait. So I'm even better for speaking to you because I can kill time.
I'm glad to be of service, as they are, I'm sure. Probably
Yeah,
not the,
yeah.
the best of circumstances or the best subject to discuss, but it does warrant discussion. Ryan Garcia in the news, of course, once again, this time for making racist remarks on Twitter
Okay.
space yesterday and also some tweets that came out around the same time. I spoke to you about it this morning. You hadn't seen them at the time. You obviously have caught up a little bit now. What was your
Yeah.
immediate reaction to the news and what he'd said?
Um, I'm disappointed. Um, I'm disappointed simply because they were profoundly racist. But at the same time, we do know that he has mental health problems, right? And I'm not using that as an excuse. Oh, he has mental health problems, so he's excused from saying racist remarks. I think he's being greatly reprimanded by the WBC um, for his comments and the rhetoric that was used. But um, it's somebody coming up with those kind of things. It's kind of weird because I know people from the music company that he works with, right? A particular person over here, a brother called Bronze. Uh, he, I haven't even spoken to him about it, but he's a man of color like myself, of Jamaican descent, but he's British. So those things are hurtful, but we also got to realize that this man is suffering from mental health, right? And 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 yes, it is disgusting. And I'm not running to the defense of Ryan Garcia at all, because what you said was disgusting and you should be reprimanded for it. And I believe that you will be. You're going to face a heavy backlash for those comments of what you've made. But if you look at history, and if you know anything about history, let me just educate people who don't know anything about it. Ryan Garcia proclaims that he's a Christian, right? Um, this thing of race or the division of race, we were only put into race classes, right? From, I know you know, from the Spanish Inquisition, right? That's 1478 that took into play, right? But the major concept of Christianity and the ideology of a European-looking Jesus came into play in 1495, and it took 3 years for Leonardo da Vinci to make the Last Supper painting, right? So within that 3 years, he was commissioned by the Queen, right? So you got to look at it like, if we look at that to know like the gene pool of race, or when we're looking at that of racism, or to say you don't like a particular tribe of people, because I don't like to talk about this race, but I really do believe that we are all just one race, right? Separated into tribes,
Sure.
right? And I think we should deal with that accordingly. Unfortunately, people don't see it that way. And when somebody like myself will say, oh, well, I think this is racist or that's racist, or then I will get massive backlash because you're pointing it out, then you must be racist. No, I've been subjected to racism, right? But on the same thing, it doesn't matter. Ryan Garcia isn't that important, right? He knows to say things to trend or to be popular, and then be jumping on one thing to a next thing to a next thing. Now this time he's gone on this thing of race. He's gone way too far on the comments. I actually listened to it. Somebody sent it to me. And it's upsetting to say the least, especially because Derek James is a man of color. That's your trainer, right? So, but then in the same time, I'm knowing like, you do suffer from some form of mental illness, right? That's not making an excuse. Because I think like recently I'm reading something like he says that he's bipolar as well, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay then. Well, let me tell you this now, right? Tyson Fury's bipolar. I've never heard him say a racist comment yet. Do you understand? So don't pick and choose when it is you want to say, well, it's bipolar, or it's this or it's that, right? You should be reprimanded heavily for the comments that you made. But I think you should be reprimanded, but I think you should be reprimanded in love, right? To be taught the difference. And like I'm saying, he's of Mexican descent, right?
Yeah.
If you knew anything about Mexico and the true Aztec warriors, the original Aztecs were about my skin tone, right? So, you know what I mean? When you start realizing that we're one human family divided into two tribes, then we can deal with things to say like certain things are tribal and not racist. But what you came out with was profoundly racist. And it was disgusting what you said about George Floyd. Absolutely disgusting. Because what happened with George Floyd, and I'm not for Black Lives Matter. Anybody knows anything about me, I'm not for Black Lives Matter. I'm for Black Lives Matter, the narrative of what it means, like, because I'm a Black person. Obviously, my life does matter. But all life does matter. Let's call it as it is, right? But for you to say those disgusting things, what you said, George Floyd dying, yeah, has put a lot of people of color in position where they were never been in position, right? Qualified people I'm talking about, not unqualified people. I'm talking qualified people, right? Something that I used to badger on about for ages and ages and ages. And then it was like, oh, you must be racist because, no, it's because it's been pointed out. Now that these things have happened, it makes people kind of be more aware that these things do happen. But I'm going to continually say that we are one race, we are a human race. We need to deal with things in love. Okay, we really do need to deal with things with love, right? Like the only difference between you and I, Dan, is that I know more boxing. That is it. Nothing else. Okay, all right. That's the bottom line, and we need to start dealing with things in that manner. And then once we can do that, then the world's going to be a better place. But I do actually feel sorry for Ryan Garcia, that somewhere in his head, someone must have said, oh yeah, but if you say this is going to be funny, or if you say, or you got to say something even more controversial. No, you've gone way past the line, right? You've gone way past the line, and you will be dealt with. But it's kind of sad because like we had a big deal for him lined up, and I know like with this nonsense now, that's squashed. Do you know what I mean? And he could sit down and say, well, you make about 30 mil the other day for fighting Devin Haney. He could sit down and say, well, I don't need it. I don't need that. But you know what? You are going to need it because the public perception of you now is going to drastically change, right? You were found being a judge treat, and people kind of gave you a blight. I can't understand it. I think Paulie Menardi was saying something the other day. It's like he can't believe like somebody was found with performance enhancing drugs in their body, and he was allowed, right? He was allowed to still get the public persona and the public vote. And that's majorly because people weren't too keen on Devin Haney. They just weren't. And that's the truth. Calling it as it is, right? But now you come out with that. You've made Devin Haney is a superhero right now. I can tell you that now. Devin Haney should be in Ratman's was it Supercell? You know what I mean? If you ain't watched Supercell on Netflix, you need to know. It's incredible. So you know what? Sad, but these things happen.
You said he knows what to trend, and maybe someone's been in his ear saying, well, you should try and say this, it will get you, attention, notoriety, or whatever. How much of what he said do you think is based on the need for attention? And how much is stuff that was already in there and it's just come out because of what he's going through?
Listen, unfortunately with Ryan Garcia, he doesn't realize that he's the value, not the nonsense that he spews out of his mouth. And what he also needs to realize is that he needs to work from value and not strive for it. Because if you're running out and you're saying that you need attention, you're striving for something that you already got. Like, for instance, right? I'm in Harwood Showroom, right? I've just put my car in for its MOT. When I'm driving that vehicle, I don't realize that I'm driving an expensive vehicle. Because I'm driving it. But I don't realize other people looking on the outside know that, oh, you're driving an expensive car, right? So but the thing about it is this, I know I can't put a price on my life or who I am as a human being. So I know the value is me, not the car, because I could jump into I don't know, an old banger. I could jump to the old banger. The old banger is still valuable. I'm driving it. Other people's perceptions. So I'm not basing things on other people's perceptions. Unfortunately, Ryan Garcia is and many people in the world do. They need to strive for value. I'm not striving from it. I'm working from value. As soon as you realize that, then that foolishness or that racist rhetoric that he's spewing out of his mouth won't come out of his mouth.
And you advocated compassion along with, public criticism and a reprimand. Where does that compassion come from? Because from what we've been led to believe, his dad reached out, Ryan dismissed him. I think the promoter has tried to help him at one point as well. What needs to happen?
Well, what needs, you know what? Unfortunately, he's a grown man, right? And he's left to his own devices. And I can see the slippery slope of where it's going to lead to. Unfortunately, I'm not wishing it on him, but I can see where this is going to lead to that. And because of that, it's very, very sad. You know what I mean? Now the old me, you'd have got me 10 years ago. I'm saying to F him there and all the rest of it. I'm in a different place in my life. I am in a totally different place. It's sad, the nonsense that he spewed. But I also realize that forgiveness is the key, right? But the true forgiveness is for him to forgive himself, right? For him to realize the nonsense that he's done and for him to forgive himself. And that's when he can start forgiving himself, then he's going to start to work from value because he knows that the value is actually himself.
Is there anyone around him that's failing in their duty of care, in your view? Is there anyone that should be helping him that isn't?
Well, listen, he's a grown man now. So I can't point the finger at, oh, this person should be there, that person should be there. He's his own man at the end of the day, right? He's an adult now. So therefore, he should be acting as an adult, right? There's many things that people could say that, oh, this person should be doing this. End of the day is this. Let me tell you this. When you tell people that you're going through things, I'm going to tell you this is the ratio. You know what I mean? 90% don't care, right? And the other 10% are glad that it's you. So work it out. You know what I mean? Work from your own value. That's what he needs to do.
Fair enough. But you mentioned, the public backlash. Should that be his only punishment? The fact that he probably will go down a bit as a draw?
No. He's going to be punished severely. Seriously. He's going to be punished severely. Or we're also going to see the people that run to his aid or try to take up for him. But and this is what usually happens. What usually happens is this. When a non-person of color says something that is racist, yeah, it's a person of color that always runs to back him and say, oh, but they're not this and they're not that and blah, 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 and all the rest of it. This is what usually happens. When it's the other way around, when a person of color is accused of being racist, nobody of non-color will run to their aid. I have noticed that. I realized that I've experienced that, right? Can't say in all the cases because there are lots of times when I've been accused of being racist. A lot of my non-colored friends will come to my aid, but the majority of the time it doesn't happen. Very, very rare.
Yeah, we saw with the Anthony Joshua speech at the Black Lives Matter event that very few people came to his defense at the time.
Well, you know what? Fair play to Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn did, right? And I remember getting a phone call from Eddie Hearn, and we were talking. I said, Eddie, what? How come you never come to Joshua's defense? He's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then within 2 seconds, my inbox was flooded with all of the articles where he's backed Anthony Joshua, right? So, and it's the truth that nobody did come to Anthony Joshua's defense. And the thing about it is this: Anthony Joshua didn't say nothing that any intelligent person who's thinking about self-preservation, right, for his tribal group, yeah, wouldn't say, because it happens. You got to think about it. I mean, do you know the biggest employer of the Jewish community are other Jewish people? Did you know that?
I did know that, yeah. Actually.
You know that, yeah?
I do know that, yeah.
Okay, right. The biggest employer of the Asian community is other Asians, right? So when you think about it, so what Anthony Joshua said, I understand where, and he was just reading the question, where he was misquoted, but I'm not even going to go into that because I think that's all water under the bridge. But a lot of people say, no, I'm not going to forgive him for that. That's nonsense, right? Because all these people were saying like he said anything wrong or in denial that there is racism that actually exists, right? Because if I turn to you, Dan, and says, and I said to you, like, does racism exist? What would you say?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, then. And if I said to you, all right, show me, point out the racist that you know. Aha, aha. See, but it must be racist about though. And this is the point. You know what I mean? Certain things need to happen for it to be open for discussion. When it's open for discussion, then we can say we've got to have the open from discussion from a viewpoint of intelligence, right? But then what happens is this. What's the famous line from Baldini Brown? That the truth tastes bitter to a belly full of lies. So when you hit them with the truth, then they don't want to hear it. But I'm right for me. But what I'm trying to say is this: we need to start acting as one human family. Okay? One human family. That is the core goal of us being created by a higher being, right? Is simply to love one another. Right? If you can do that, then we're gonna win. Right? And seeing as we're talking about anti-Joshua, let me just tell you this, because the elections have just come in and we've just seen that Starmer has now won. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the same instance, Daniel Dubois is the Rishi Sunak of boxing, right?
I've got to hear this.
Right? I'm going to tell you, he's the Rishi Sunak of boxing because he didn't win an election to become prime minister of our country. And Daniel Dubois, similarly, did not win the world title in the ring. You know what I mean? He got given a crown. But the difference is he got given a crown, unlike when Lennox Lewis was elected as a WBC champion when he had that fantastic win in 1992, October 31st, when he stopped Razor Ruddock. Razor Ruddock at the time was deemed as the best heavyweight in the world. Do you know that? And Evander Holyfield was still the champion. So I could get that one, and because Riddick Bowe refused to fight him. This is different. What we got with this fight here, Usyk has beaten Joshua twice and beaten Daniel Dubois, right? So really and truly, he said, you can have that one. You know what I mean? And you know his excellency, and his excellency, you got to put some respect on his name. Must is like, look, I want this for a world title. You hold this. You know you got paid for it. You hold this. Don't worry. your money's secure with you and Tyson Fury, and it just rolls on. But I'm telling you, if there was ever a person in boxing today that resembles Rishi Sunak, it is actually Daniel Dubois. But what happened when he had to go up for the real ballots and all the rest of it? For all he's trying, he comes second best. And that's exactly how I see what's going to happen to Daniel Dubois. And this is no disrespect to Don Charles or his team, but I'm telling you, Anthony Joshua's team is profoundly professional, right? Profoundly professional, right? I cannot see the same professionalism that is ran for Daniel Dubois' team.
So with that in mind, do you now consider Keir Starmer a legitimate prime minister?
Yes, I do.
So will you consider the winner of Joshua Dubois a legitimate world champion?
No. Everyone's saying, All
right.
Yes, I will regard them as a legitimate world champion. But what I'm trying to say, this is just like End Games and Thanos, and the rings, the Infinity Stones, have been dispersed once again, right? And right, so the god of the heavyweight division right now, not to blaspheme, but the god of the heavyweight division right now is Alexander Usyk, right? Whoever picks up that, you're a demigod, right? Okay. You're a demigod, right? You're a demigod. You're not the real god, though, and that's what I'm saying.
We've gone from Sunak to Thanos. I mean,
that's right, man. I'm a very complex thinker, my friend.
I can tell. I'm very well read and well watched as well, by the sound of it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Will you be talking about this whole Ryan Garcia thing on The Fight Is Right, the podcast?
You know what? I'm just going to be real. I don't need to give it no more airplay. As soon as you make sure when you put in, because I know you're going to do little shorts, make sure you do that and you use it for a collab so I can post it out on my page as well. Right now, my Instagram is blowing. I'm like, right now it's blowing. So, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't think we need to touch on it, to tell you the truth, simply because I don't need to give negativity that plug, right? Because I could go ballistic over this, but I don't need to, because the young man just needs guidance. And unfortunately, he hasn't got guidance. And the thing about it is this, I said the same thing when Devin Haney made those comments about I'll never lose to no white boy, right? But on that, I get it. But there are degrees of racism. It's still racist, but there are degrees, right? There are degrees of racism. And that was profound, disgusting racism. But I'm still going to deal with the young man with love because he certainly needs help.
When is the next Fight is Right podcast to see what you are talking about?
Right, this Sunday, this Sunday is the next Fight is Right with me and Tundi, and we've got a lot of things to discuss. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of things to discuss. And right now, boxing's winning, right? Boxing is winning. And this is like a disgusting black eye for boxing, right? Simply because boxing is booming right now with everything that's going on. You know what I mean? With the fights that are being made, with Tank doing what he's doing right now in America, you know, with that division being spoken about in the same in the breath that it is, with great fight, great Regis Prograde is fighting Adam Catterall. That's a really good fight. I got Catterall winning. No disrespect to Regis. Sorry,
Jack
Adam.
Catterall.
Why did I say Adam? Sorry, Jack Catterall.
I wouldn't fancy Adam Catterall in that one.
Yeah. You know what? It's because I was listening to Adam Catterall when I was driving down. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was just on Talksport. But that's a great fight. You know what I mean? And big up my guy Sam Jones as well. I like how Sam Jones was bringing that heat at the press conference the other day.
Great stuff. Spencer, really appreciate your time as always. Hope you're not waiting too much longer for your car.
Now they say it's like a 2-hour wait, but if you can see right there, I've got my I've got my hominy. If you're Jamaican, you know, I've got my hominy corn porridge waiting for me. You know what I mean? I've got my phone right now, so I can just plug in and see whatever stuff that SecondsOut is doing, so I can watch you lot's interviews and that.
Oh, you're too kind. But yeah, we need the views. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. All right, bro. Take
Cheers,
care.
mate.
God bless, man. Love, my friend.
See you soon.